Well, in a few minutes, we will start our webinar session.
Me fechou. R$18.000 de remuneração, bem bom.
Great. So let's wait just 1 minute more in order to receive more participants, and then we will start with our session. Bom dia, César. Good morning, Márcia. Yeah. So, as a German chamber, we have to be punctual. And then I wish you a good morning again. Hope you are doing fine. My name is Augusto Michels. A lot of you guys know me, and I am the manager of the German-Brazilian Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Paraná, also known as AHK Paraná. It's a pleasure to welcome you to our webinar, an initiative led by our Strategic Management Technical Committee. This committee enjoys strong support from several of our members' companies. I would therefore like to thank today's sponsors, Impress Decor and Leaks Attorneys, for their invaluable contribution. And I would also like to recognize our 2000-2005 master sponsors, namely Anderson Balão Advocacia, Bosch, Grupo Servopa, Intelecto, Lapinha, and Miara Schwartz Tomaszewski. So, if you have any questions during the session, please use the Q&A icon on the toolbar below. Our moderator, Rafael Santiago, will select them, and the answers will be provided at the end of the presentations. Okay? That being said, I thank you all for joining us. I wish you an engaging and productive session. Rafael, please introduce yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Augusto. Good morning to everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you. So today we are going to talk about succession plans in general, focusing family business and talk about future. Just to introduce myself, I'm Rafael Santiago. I'm a board member of AHK Paraná. And besides this, I'm the Americas VP of AIMS International and the managing partner of deBernt and AIMS Brazil. So some different roles, but all connected. About AIMS, it's a partnership between AHK and AIMS. We are a global company focused in executive search and talent management. So we are focused in strategic positions. We have almost 70 offices worldwide. so we can have a global view, and we used to act locally. So we have a very good experience with a lot of multinationals, global companies, and the partnership between Germany and Brazil is very strong, and that's why we manage some connections like that. So uh, Rolf and Elena, they are going to introduce themselves. So please.
Okay. Yes. Hello, everyone. Nice meeting you all. My name is Elena Leonidou, and I am the managing partner of AIMS International in Cyprus. So I am in a warm climate at the moment because I see most of you wearing winter clothes. Um, in addition to my role as the managing partner of AIMS Cyprus, I also have two roles in AIMS Global. I am the deputy head of the board services global practice and also the deputy head of the talent management global practice. So I am doing quite a lot of presentations and support to our global teams. Other than that, in terms of my background, I am an occupational psychologist. Worked for 19 years in PwC, so in the consulting services, and I was the director leading the people services. Then I decided to leave, so I started AIMS in Cyprus, and I joined this very beautiful team and met Rafael and Rolf and the rest of our team in across the globe. So I'm very happy to be here with you to talk about this very interesting topic, succession planning. I will focus more on the corporate side, so succession planning in corporates. And now I pass it to Rolf to introduce himself and also share what he's going to talk about. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Rolf Heeb. I'm in the cold part of the European area. So when I look outside here, we have probably 7 degrees and it's raining. So it's not the nicest part. I've been a consultant for all of my life. Have never done anything else. Started my career in very large international consulting organizations, and then I was managing director of some German consulting companies. And then a long time ago, I founded a company on my own in Germany. I have been in our international organization president for 6 years. So I have seen from our 50 countries we are in probably 47. There was a lot of traveling. It was very nice. I was the founder and today member of what we called our board services global practice. And within this practice, we are focusing on family-owned business, family-run businesses, and also the succession planning in those companies. And that will be most of my talk later on. And everybody's invited, of course, to ask a question to our experiences there. And I'm happy to be in this meeting. Thanks to the organizer of the meeting for the opportunity to talk here.
Thank you so much, Rolf. So let's start. Helena, can you be the first?
Okay. Can you all see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just an ad for the participants. After this presentation, we are gonna send it to all of us, all of you, for you to access this content.
Yes, and I would also say, as Rolf mentioned, that if you have any questions during the presentation or something is not clear and you want more information, you can stop me and we can address it on the spot. Okay, so we will start talking about, as I said before, succession planning in corporate environment. And here we're not going to only focus to the large corporates because we will see as all organizations need to have a succession plan in place in order for them to sustain continuity. So I will start with a few myths just to put the framework of this topic. First one is that, as I already mentioned, succession planning is only for large companies. You know, small organizations do not need a succession plan, only the large ones do. We might hear that, and we usually hear it from the clients as well. However, we see, and I will share with you a number of examples, that succession planning is vital for organizations of all sizes. Like in our economy in Cyprus, we have a lot of companies for that they offer software services. They are international and they are based in Cyprus because of the taxation regime. And they are smaller, either payment institutions or the software companies. Even for them, that they might employ only 20 people just to run a software, even for them succession planning is very important, because if they lose one of their people that knows the software and is fully aware of how everything is done, this might lead to, let's say, stagnation, or might lead to issues in the delivery of their services. Another myth is that it's a one-time event. We do it once and there is no need to do it all the time. The reality here is that succession planning is and should be an ongoing process, and it requires to have regular updates and adjustments as the organization evolves. As it has been mentioned in whenever we talk about leadership, and now in most of the publications, is that we are living in a world of disruption. You know, whatever is happening, we already have a disruption. It was COVID. Now in Europe, we had wars around us, so they created another disruptions. So the organizations are evolving based on what is happening in the market and in the world. So the succession planning processes, along with all the other, of course, processes, should be evolving, adjusted, and updated. Only top executives need succession plans. Again, here we have it in the regulated entities usually that it is necessary to have succession plan for the top leaders, the banking institutions and many other regulated organizations. They require to have succession planning for the senior positions. However, succession planning is also important for other positions, and I will show you a model on how do we decide on for which positions we need to have a succession plan, and you will see that it is not only the senior roles. The next one is that succession planning is only about emergency replacement. Yes, this happens, and it is, let's say, the first thing that most organizations do. They need to have an emergency replacement of a very senior role, or the CEO sometimes, or of a very important role that is not so senior. However, here the reality is that the succession planning should also focus on on developing leaders, on career progression, and have a long-term strategic talent management. Because when we talk about talent management, we don't only mean the senior positions. We might have talent management in all levels in an organization. Another one is that it is the HR department's responsibility. Again, this is a myth, of course, because the effective succession planning involves the active participation and sponsorship of the senior leadership and the board. The other one is that succession planning guarantees successor readiness. Again, here, not always the successors are ready. We might have somebody called him or inform him that you are the successor. You have the right person, let's say, that has the skill, but it doesn't mean that they are ready to undertake the duties as from day one when they take on the position. So again, here, they require ongoing development, mentorship, and building the experience. And the last one, it is a costly exercise and a time-consuming process. Again, here it is a myth, but it is also somehow a reality as well, because of course it requires investment. And we are not talking about investment in, let's say, money. It also, we talk about investment in time. So to have an effective, but if we have an effective succession plan that runs and that it supports the organization in creating leadership pools and let's say successors and people that are ready to take over, then this will reduce the cost, and it will also reduce the cost for the effective transition. And the last one is that when we say that only the next person that is coming up in the ladder needs development, let's say the potential successor. Again, this is a myth because we will see when I show you the model afterwards that we need the best way is to develop a pool of leaders, continuously working with them, and develop pools of people that can address and they can work on and they can take over roles. And here I have a very recent example of a client that I'm working on that they decided to do a spin-off and a support company that was going to provide some, it's a shipping organization, and they decided to set up a company that will provide technology training to the people that are onshore. And this spin-off needed a leader. So since they are having a very effective let's say succession planning process and they are developing people, they had a person that they asked him to take over this company, and he was ready through the culture of the organization, supporting the strategy to take over. So it is very important to have people ready to support when the need arises. So, talking about the needs, we have this model that might show that shows the maturity of each organization in succession planning. The first one is, as we said before, the ad hoc replacement. We have a position, it becomes available, and then we create a list from internal of the organization which people can take on this position, and we proceed with the with giving this position to a person. So this is one way. If we don't have anyone from inside, then we will recruit someone from the outside. So, but this is ad hoc. I mean, we don't have a specific plan on how we will fill the position. The second, let's say, step on the maturity model is the conventional succession planning, where here we have successors and we have, let's say, a talent pool, but only for the critical high-level position, as we said before, the senior roles. So we have here, we create a list, we have a few people ready to take on, but only for specific roles and mainly the senior ones in a company. The third one is the integrated succession planning, which is the same process as with the conventional, but we have critical position at all levels. So we have talent pools and strategies to develop people to take to undertake, let's say, a position, but at all levels within the organization. And the most mature organizations, they are in the transparent talent mobility, as we call it, stage, where here we have viable talent pools and succession maps, and the organization has specific processes that they implement to support and develop people, create talent pools so as to keep them ready in order there is a need for them to undertake a position. And the usual question that comes to this is, okay, if we don't have a position and we have these people ready and we ask them to develop and to prepare, and then what is going on with them? And this is the reason why most organizations do not call these processes as succession planning processes. They call them talent management. That is a process that creates talent. We support you to develop, to grow in the organization. And there is also the growth upwards, but also there is a growth that can be horizontal. And these might be to increase their duties, give them, let's say, an additional role to support on something else. And this will also get connected with a recognition or a salary increase or let's say it doesn't always need to be a promotion. So this is a way that this and the strategies that we mentioned there that come together with the talent management exercise in order to support for this. Okay, if we proceed with some facts and figures that are very recent, all of them in the 2025 figures, 69% of organizations consider succession planning a high priority, according to the Association of HRM, the US Association of HRM. And it is essential for leadership continuity and long-term growth. So they recognize and the organizations identify that succession planning is a high priority. However, on a survey that was done by Deloitte, again in the US, they say that only 35% of companies have formal succession plans. So they recognize that it is important, organizations and leaders, but not only a few of them have a formal process and a formal structure to support this. Another one is 40% of CEOs leave their roles unexpectedly, so effective succession planning mitigates this risk, according to the Harvard Business Review. Companies with succession plans see a 30% higher leadership retention rate, and this is indeed a reality, because if you are proactive and if you have a process in place, then you proceed much faster. And 60% of organizations with strong succession plan outperform their competitors, because they have this stability in leadership. So again, this is very important, and it helps the organization deal with unexpected changes very faster. Some facts by industry, that we have 88% of healthcare organizations identify succession planning as critical. So because in this industry, the high turnover and the skill gaps makes it more important for them to have it in place. In the financial services firms, 62% of financial services firms prioritize succession planning. Because here the one important thing, as I also mentioned, is that the regulatory complexities makes it mandatory for them to have a succession plan in place. However, working a lot with fintech organizations, we see that even for them, succession planning is very important. And they are young organizations. Most people are in their mid 40s. The leadership teams are around mid 40s in these organizations. However, they do have succession plans in place, even for the very important position for them, like let's say the data security experts, because for them, for the fintech and the FX companies that we have a lot, it is very important to have this person, or for roles like the software developers that are again very important. So they have successor, or they have a succession process in place. Let's say they have an external provider that, in the case that they need additional support, will support them for the period as long as for the period they needed, in order to find the person to take over. So they have, let's say, something in place. The 55% of technology companies, they struggle with succession planning, because here the innovation is very fast, things are changing in a day. So it makes it very, very challenging for them to have a proper succession plan in place and to grow leaders or to grow experts. And the last one that will be further addressed by Rolf is that 80% of family-owned businesses, they fail to plan for leadership transitions. And so these, in most occasions, we see that it creates disruption in the family business. Okay, so now we'll talk a bit about the strategies. So this is the model I referred to before. This is a model that can support organizations build a succession plan. It's like a framework. So the first step, as I also said, it's to have the critical positions in place. So we need to identify which are those roles that we cannot lose in terms of a role. So the person who has a big network and knows the people that we work with, or somebody that has a specific expertise that we need, let's say, to have him in place. And now I'm talking about the other roles, not the leadership ones, okay? Because the leadership ones, of course, we need to have a succession plan for our leadership team. So we need to go a bit deeper, put the list of criteria and do an analysis on which are those roles that are very important in the organization, and the roles that we should not, let's say, afford to lose. So this is the first exercise, and it is the identify. The second one is to leverage and engage these people. So here we are talking a lot about the communication part. How do we communicate this initiative? How do we inform the people that are part of this exercise of growth and that they participate in this, let's say, talent management process? This will help to make them aware, also boost their confidence as well, engage them in the process. So as they get the most out of it. In this part of in this step, we can also add some assessment mechanisms like assessment centers or development centers in order to identify where these people stand today and also what is needed that we need to do in order to prepare them for the next step. So we assess and provide for each one of them a personal development plan on which the organization can focus on in order to support them grow and prepare them also to undertake more senior roles. Then the third one is, of course, the develop. So now we assess them, we identify them, we assess them, we engage them, and now we need to work on their development. In this part of development, usually we don't talk only about specific trainings. We talk about also coaching, mentorship from the senior leader or from the person that they are going, because there might be occasions that we prepare successor for someone who will retire. So the person who will retire can support the development of the successor. And and also other let's say developmental activities like involvement, participation in events, conferences, and everything that will help them grow into the specific role. And the last step in the process, which we call it as is the governance of the whole model, and the framework is to monitor and review how this process is going. So when we prepare the development plans, usually we put some KPIs on as well and some time frames on the development plans. And these are the things that we monitor and we review. So as I said, it is a continuous process. The organizations should, in order to have a proper, let's say, succession planning strategy, they need to follow this process maybe on a yearly or a 2-year basis. And an example here is that I have a client. It is a banking institution, one of the largest we have in Cyprus, a local banking institution. And we are working with them on preparing the whole management team. And when I say whole management team, I'm talking about from first line manager up to the directors of the various departments. And after, we did the identification process, then we did the development centers for all those people. Now we are in the area in the develop phase. So a number of activities are taking place. They have introduced a mentorship program from the directors to the high potentials. And we are working with them in this phase, and we assessed around 650 people for this exercise. So some key challenges that you need to address when you implement a succession planning process. The first one is the lack or long-term perspective. So many companies, they focus on immediate needs rather than planning for leadership roles up to 5 and 10 years. Because, if we have, let's say, a person that will leave the organization with retirement in 5 years, we need to start preparing from now. Okay, so the successor needs a time, and this develop phase takes some time. It's not just a 6-month exercise. To identify and develop talent, again, this is a continuous process. As I said, finding the right successors and giving them the right skills is critical, and for them to grow and creating, let's say, this leadership pipeline in the organization. Okay, another challenge is some biases in selection, unconscious biases sometimes, and we have a lot of such examples. I was talking to a head of internal audit of a large company last week, and he was sure that we assessed 3 people for his role. He's retiring in 3 years. So we did an initial assessment of 3 people that he considered and he chose as his successors. And we assessed all three, and he was sure that the one of those three was the right one, but without seeing the report. Okay, so when we were discussing the report, I mean, for through the assessment, it was evident that she was the female one. She was the less ready. Okay, so in terms of readiness, she was the less ready than the two males. And we had a very challenging discussion with him because he was thinking that she's my next because she brings all the numbers. She's good. Whatever I say, she's doing it. You know, and when we ask him, okay, do you see her sitting in your chair and doing whatever you are doing? And then he started thinking that maybe not so much. Maybe she's not that ready. Maybe she needs more exposure. So again, here you see that he was a bit biased in feeling that she's the right one. But actually, sometimes we need to do a proper assessment process just to make sure that this person is the right one. The employee morale and retention, again here, if we have a poor succession planning process, will also demotivate the employees because they don't see any future. So as I said, the process of developing and let's say focusing on creating talents and supporting talents in an organization, it helps the employee morale and also the retention. And the last challenge, the resistance to change. Sometimes we might see the employees and also stakeholders to resist in leadership transitions. We are not ready for this now. We are not ready to replace this person. And okay, sometimes, especially in non, let's say non in large corporates that they have let's say retirement age, there are organizations where the retirement age is not, I mean, set. So when we say, okay, you need to prepare someone to take the role if he decides to stay home or if anything happens, let's say health related or anything, and we see them being, you know, a bit resisting that, okay, well, okay, like this, maybe it's not the time now. And we also have to address this resistance. And sorry, this was not the last one. The last one is to keep the plans up to date. As I said, the succession plans evolve and then they go in pure alignment with the business needs. So as the business grows, the succession planning plans should also grow with them. Some reasons for failing the succession. The first one is the lack of support and commitment. So if we don't have sponsorship, we will not, the program will not be implemented. So it is not an HR functions work. It is let's say a process that needs the sponsorship of the board of directors and also the CEO of the company. Another reason for failing is to overlook the internal candidates and focus on external. Let's say not seeing what we have inside and whom we can grow, but when a position becomes empty, we bring someone from the outside. The third one is not engaging the potential internal candidates in the process. So overlook them and also not engage them in the process. So this might not help the program to run smoothly. When we choose someone and give them the role, do not provide them support when they get onboarded. So again, here the person who undertakes the role needs support and needs, let's say, the opportunity to be challenged and also to learn. Poor communication, as I said, when I showed you the framework, I said that there is a part that the communication is very important in addressing also the people that are, let's say, selected as talents, but also the people that are not, let's say, selected in this talent pool, but they are also there. So what do we do with them? So it is good to communicate how this selection has been made, and also not leave things and confusion to lead in wrong expectations. Okay, ignoring the cultural fit of successor. So if we choose a successor and we have, let's say, specific strategy and a culture in the company, we need to select this person that we will engage with this culture and that he will follow this culture. And also the inflexibilities in the process. Yes, it's good to have a process, it's good to have a strategy, but all these need to be agile. and they should be reevaluated continuously and also changed as necessary. So in order to succeed, one important thing is to start early, give time to the organization to mature in growing successors, identify key roles, and as I said, the critical ones and the skills that are needed in order to achieve the strategy. Develop the internal talent and focus on developing the people internally. Focus on communication and be transparent and regularly update the plan. So the aim for this is to ensure the business continuity with minimum, let's say, stagnations or periods that things are not set. And just to close, I will share with you a quote by John Maxwell that says that a leader's lasting value is measured by succession. So it's measured by succession. So as if a leader is willing and it wants to maintain his or her legacy, then the important thing is to identify himself and prepare for himself for his successors. Thank you.
Great, Elena. Thank you so much. I believe that everything you said connects a lot with what the landscape that we are facing in Brazil, but worldwide either. Just as an example, last month I visited 3 companies around Curitiba, and the 3 of them with more than 1 billion reais of turnover a year, and the 3 of them with CEOs and founders with more than 75 years old. And succession plan is a completely taboo. And it's focused in the HR responsibility. They cannot talk about succession, only about talent management, as you said. So it's completely true, everything you said. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
And we're gonna pass the words for Rolf, and in the end we can open through Q&A for everyone. Okay, let's go, Rolf.
Can my presentation be seen?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'm talking about a completely different succession. Elena has talked about the succession within the company. I'm going one step up and saying, what is the succession of the entrepreneur? And here I'm talking about mainly family-owned, family-run type of businesses. Now, with the succession of an entrepreneur, it doesn't only affect the entrepreneur, it affects the entrepreneur, it affects the family of the entrepreneur, but it also affects the managers within such a company. So when you work in a family-owned company, the succession of the entrepreneur is also a very important element for anyone within the company. I would like to take you through a journey of 3 different topics. The first one, I would like to have a look together with you at the alternatives an entrepreneur has for his succession planning. The second one is I'm in this kind of consultancy for more than 30 years, and I've seen a number of cases of different kinds. And I selected 5 cases I would like to lead you through what has been done in terms of succession of an entrepreneur, and also cases where that is what they shouldn't have done, also the negative experience. I show you also some of those. And at the end, I have some advices, mainly for entrepreneurs, but they're also important for managers within an organization, which is a family-owned organization. So let's have a look at what I called what are the basic models for an entrepreneur. Now, I divided the question of entrepreneur succession into two groups of entrepreneurs. On the left side, you see entrepreneurs which have or might have successors within the family. And on the right side, you see those who don't have successors within the family. And the alternatives for the two groups are different. So let's have a look at the left side first. There's a family, and within the family, there are children who are willing and able to take over the company. What is the typical situation? The children are already in leadership roles. That would be ideal. They have already proven leadership capabilities, what they have shown in their daily work. The collaboration works with the parents and the family. The financial aspects are resolved or irrelevant. What I mean with that is, in a lot of cases, the entrepreneur who has a certain age needs to get enough income from the company after he has it given over to the children. So his future life depends on the success of the children, which might be a very important factor in his decision-making process to hand over a company to the children or to do something else with it, what we are going to see in a few moments. And in such a situation, the business is healthy, it has a positive outlook. So the task which comes out of a situation like that is that the organization of the successor, or the integration of the successor into the organization has to be organized. I'm talking a little bit later about how to be organized and what we have to consider there. Second alternative or second case is that not all of the children are willing and able to take over, but only some. So this is comparable to the first situation, but children have maybe different interests or different ages. Some of them are interested, some of them not. Some of them might be already qualified, some not. They have proven management skills, effective collaboration between the children. The financials are also clear or resolved, and there's also business outlook. So the additional task the entrepreneur has to look at is how he is going to compensate the other family members compared to the one who are going to take over the company. So there's a second element in a family like that which needs to be considered. So the third alternate, or the third case is that you have a family where is no successor within the family, or none of them is able and willing to take over. Now let's have a look at those alternatives. What does it comprise of? First of all, children are not interested, they are not ready or not willing to lead. Financial needs of the entrepreneur are not met, or that is what the entrepreneur thinks that they are unable to support him for his future life. Or the business situation is poor, so that the kids are not willing and able to take over. Or there are any other emotional, personal reasons within the family that succession via the children is not possible. So you have basically two alternatives. One is to look at an external leadership, to hire an external manager for the business, and remaining being a shareholder. Or the solution is like we go to the cases where there is no family succession. So we go to the right side of the alternatives. Now, when we go to the right side, as we said before, there might be an alternative to hire somebody from the outside, running the business and remaining being a shareholder. That could be alternative number one. When you go to this alternative, in most cases, that is an alternative which is not lasting forever. At one point in time, an entrepreneur, an owner of a company, might not be able anymore to oversee what's happening within the company, because he's getting older, and the controlling of what's within the company becomes more and more difficult. So running a company from a shareholder perspective, external management in most cases is limited by time. So what are the other alternatives? That is selling the company. Now, when selling the company is one of the alternatives to go for, of course, there are different types of solutions. One is looking for a strategic investor, looking for a financial investor, management buy-in, management buyout, or management buy-in with the existing management, or with external management. There's another solution which is applicable in a number of countries, maybe not in all countries. That is a foundation. Foundation is a way to secure for the future the income of the owner or the family. When an owner is founding a foundation, he is giving up actually the control over the control and the ownership of the company, and the foundation is run by an external board and a supervisory board, maybe with some influence from the owner also in the future. So it is set up to secure the family income for the future, but not the entrepreneur and not the family is running the organization anymore. The last alternative is going public. For a lot of medium-sized, smaller type of family-run business, that is not an option. That might be an option for larger organizations to bring the company to the stock exchange. Now, all of that is a complicated process for an entrepreneur to make a decision. What is the best alternatives? In a lot of cases, we are asked, my dear consultant, help me to see whether my kids are able and willing to take over the company. There are two elements, the ability and the willingness. And in some cases, it's one of those. Sometimes it is none of those. Now, imagine how more it is difficult if you have not only one shareholder family, but you have two shareholder families, and then the situation might become very complicated. Particularly if the next generation, if there are kids in both shareholder families, is not the same. If there are different interests on the second level, and the life cycle might be a different one, and future objectives might be very different. So in cases where you have more than one shareholder family, it is going to become more complicated or extremely complicated. Now, when you work in a family-owned company, or you're the owner of a family-owned company, you could choose one of those letters where you are in. Are you in a situation with kids who are willing to take over, or are you on the other extreme in a D situation where the company is going to be sold? And the effect on the owners, the effect on the management are quite different. Let me give you some practical examples, and all of these examples I'm going to show you are real example from clients which we supported in one way or the other. So the first case, I called it committed but incompetent successor. So the successors were committed but not competent. So what was the case? It was about a 25 million company in revenue They sold advertising material. The family consists of a mother, a son, and a daughter with the ages you see on the slide. The father passed away 4 years before we met them. The mother was running the company as a CEO, and because of the inheritance, the shares were split among the family, as you see it here, 50, 25, 25. The initial situation was that all 3 family members worked in the company. The mother wanted to step down for health reasons and to sell her shares. The sales price of the company was intended to secure the future living. The children were unable to take over or to buy the shares from the mother. They were not able to finance that, and were also not able to run the company. But the children wanted to continue working in the company, but not to take any management role. It was a very healthy company with strong growth potential, and we have been asked to develop, find a solution which fits all family members. So what was the outcome of it? We sold the company, 80% of the company, to a private equity firm. The children retained minority stakes of 10% each. The mother exited the company, retired, and secured her future life to the sales price she got, and there was a continued employment of the children under an external management. So it was a solution which was found, which helped all of the stakeholders. But not all cases are like this. There was the second case. I call it long-term planning with a let's see attitude. The case was that we had children can take over, but they don't have to. It was a 40 million euro logistic company, about 230 employees. The father was quite young, 58, quite young for a succession, but he asked me at that age, I want to do an early planning, where the company is going and what is the best way for me and the family. The mother was 59, and there were 2 children, 35 and 32. Both children were married, and the daughter and the son-in-law also were working in the company. The company was owned 100% by the owner. So the initial situation was the father wanted to have his succession planned very early. The company is intended to provide the money for his retirement and for the family retirement. He was kind of an, I called it old school entrepreneur, working from 7 to 7. And he has built up the company with that kind of an attitude. The children and her spouses have been in middle management positions within the company already for many years, so they knew already everything about the business. Since the company was founded, the mother had only a supporting role within the company, no management role, and the father raised the question to us: are my children able and willing to continue running the company? So there was a question of willingness and ability. What was the solution at the end? First of all, we conducted assessments not only with the children, but also with the parents and with an external managing director who was also in the company, but not part of the family and not part of the shareholders. What were the findings of those assessments? We separated that in two different views, one professional, one personality. As far as profession is concerned, none of the children and spouses at that time were ready to assume full responsibility to take over the company and to run the company. And that was very clear during those assessments, and it was accepted by everybody. However, they were good potential to develop them into becoming entrepreneurs. Personality-wise, the daughter told me one day, we will not lead and work the way our father does. They had a very friendly relationship, but she said, we will not only take on full responsibility if new structures cannot be established. They said, we are not going to work from 7 to 7 every day. That is not us. We want to have a different work-life balance. So what we did is we developed a multi-year growth and transition plan, allowing for future decisions on whether to continue the business within the family or to go for a sale. So there was a plan, and the plan looked like this. We started with this project back in 2018. We analyzed the situation, as I said before. We implemented a plan for the 4 children, and the idea was after 3 to 5 years time, we evaluate the situation again. This is a program what we developed for the children. Is that going in the right direction? Are they becoming able and also willing to take over the responsibility for the company? And it was actually early this year where we reviewed the case, and finally the family decision, not only the father decision, was we are going to sell the company. And the major reason for that was that the children didn't want to take over the responsibility to finance the future life of father and mother, and taking over that responsibility. So this was a mixture of selling the company at the end, but before giving it a try, that there's a succession coming out of the family. Third case I have is where I said it's too young for retirement and no family successor. Company was about a 25 million euro turnover. It was a foundry. The father 64, the mother much younger, 45, and a daughter of 13. Family owned 100% by the father. And yeah, there was kind of a funny thing in it. Foundries have valuable material, and the father always thought that some of the material which he hid somewhere in the basement was very, very valuable. And that turned out later on that was not the case. Now, what was the initial situation? The company was in an inner city property, not really a good location for a foundry. The relocation was required in the long term in order to be able to grow. The mother was overwhelmed with continuing the business. She was unable to run the business. The daughter was much too young for any succession planning. And because of health reasons of the father, he wanted to have an exit immediately. And the scope of the project was find a family-friendly solution. The solution was at the end that we sold the business without the property as a combination of a management buyout and management buy-in. The father was willing to give a vendor loan to the purchasers. The purchasers were external, internal managers, so they didn't have enough money to buy the company, but with a vendor loan and some bank financing, they were able to take over the company. So that is also an instrument of a succession when the owner believes in the future management, the future owners, to manage that via a vendor loan from his side. After some years, the company was relocated from the property within the city, and the father changed the property for real estate, for different real estate purposes, and he still is now building and running several flats on the property where the company was before. So that was a very, very nice solution for the family and also for the management within the family. Next example is I call it overwhelmed children as successors in the management. company, about 13 million in revenue, very strong earnings, manufacturing plastic components. Father was 67, mother 64, daughter 37, and 100% owned by the family, by the father and the mother. The initial situation was that the daughter was already working in the companies for about 10 years, and the management was handed over to her about 3 years before we met them. The major problem was that the parents were influenced by a consultant that the daughter should take over the management of the company, even though the daughter was not ready for it, and nobody looked at the readiness. The parents immediately withdrew from the management, but not as the shareholders. There was a much younger brother in the company. He was an excellent engineer. The role between the two, the brother and the sister, was not really defined. There was a lot of disturbance in their relationship. They had completely different life plans. The daughter was, as I said, completely overwhelmed with her role and with her responsibility. And the scope of the project was that the daughter wanted help in her role. But finally, the solution was a bit different and particularly surprising to the daughter. After thorough assessments, it was clear that the daughter would never be able to run this company. She was not the type of person, not the type of entrepreneur. So the family decision was that the daughter leaves her post in the company. The parents temporarily returned back to operational roles. They continued to run the company. Finally, the son took over the CEO role. We established an advisory board to support, on one hand, the family as a shareholders, and on the other hand, also helping a younger person, the son in this case, to run the company, and also to eliminate frustration within the family because of the new situation. About 1 year later, we helped the son financing the purchase of the company from the parents, and all of that was done in very close connection with the advisory board. So the advisory board had to play a very, very important role in this family succession. Last example is a very sad one. How not to do it, that is what I called it. There was a company where the father transferred 51% of the company to the daughter, with no possibility to influence the company with his 49% anymore in the future. The company was about 35 million euro in revenue. It was very, very profitable. They were in the steel trading business. The father was 70, the daughter 40, and it was originally owned 100% by the father. Now, what was the initial situation? The daughter was in the company already for 10 years. During that time, she had a very good cooperation with the father, but she didn't have a leadership role. And as kind of a gift, after those 10 years, the father said, no, you are going to get the major shareholder. There's tax-wise was a possibility to hand over 51% without paying any taxes. So that was a motivation for the father. At the time of the transfer, the company was really highly profitable. They had an EBITDA of more than 20%. The daughter started restructuring the company after she was a majority shareholder in a completely different way. She had consultants around which didn't help her in keeping the profitability of the company. It went just in the opposite direction. And the father was actually standing beside that and had no chance whatsoever to make any changes, because the relationship between the daughter and the father also became worse and worse. And when I met the father the first time, he said to me, "Let's find a solution how we can go back from where we started." Well, what was the solution? The father was just forced, because of the legal structure, to watch just the events which were there, helpless. He suffered greatly on a personal financial level. The family was broke apart, and 2 years later, the company became a turnaround case and was later sold for a really unreasonable price. This is an example which also put some tears into my eyes when I'm talking about that, particularly when I look at the personality of the father, who was an extremely good entrepreneur, but with this one mistake, everything changed. So these were the practical examples. There's one additional topic I integrated into this presentation. I call it the emergency kit. When we talk about succession, succession is not always a planned succession. There might be events where succession has to be there immediately, particularly when somebody is going to get sick or dies. Then all of a sudden it is a new situation for the family. And our recommendation always is just have an emergency kit ready, set. The family knows the basic things about the company. So what are the basic regulations? What kind of contracts the company has? What is the management and what are the responsibilities of the management? Everything about finances, no? Which banks one is working, what finance obligations are there, the key documents, the contracts which are important, the basic business data, memberships, and personal documents which relate to the ownership. On the following slides, there are some more details behind it, what that could be. I'm not going through these details. The presentation will be made available later on, so one can see what are the major things which should belong into such an emergency kit. And that emergency kit should be communicated within the family. So to summarize, what are the advices we could give in a family succession plan? Number one is early planning. And start tomorrow with an emergency kit if it is not available. To plan and to execute a succession takes time, even in cases where it comes to a selling of the company. Also, that takes time. Have a clear succession plan, particularly when children are there. See whether they're willing and able to do it, and ask for some external help in the assessment of it. In a lot of cases, because of the family situation, the emotional part of it, it is difficult to have a clear view on ability and willingness. And that is from both sides. It's from the children to the parent, but also from the parents to the children. From country to country different, but in each country, for sure, you have legal and tax considerations, how to hand the company over, when, what percentages, and everything was related to that. So the advice here is to consult early enough with your tax consultants and legal consultants what is possible and when and how you should do it. It can make a major difference in the solution. Training and development. That is the example I showed before, where children might not be ready today, but they have the ability to get to a stage where they can become entrepreneurs, and just support it in training and development. Family communication. I have a lot of clients seen in the past where the family didn't know what the business was all about, and that the family and the children knew only certain parts of the company. So when there is a family succession planned in the long run, try to get the family as soon as possible into the company, make them understanding what the company is all about and where the major issues and problems, but also chances for the company are in the future. Independence of a successor. When the company is handed over within a family situation, let the successors become independent of the ones who are handing the company over. Business valuation, of course, is a very important part, particularly when the company is going to be sold. Then it is a money question, and then the company is sold within the family, so that the children take over. The business valuation might be different. At the end, there's also, again, of course, a tax question related to it. So business evaluation is a very important part of that. Management transition, plan how to operationally hand over the business to the children when there is a normal handover and not an emergency handover. And as I said before, start early with the plan of what a succession could look like, and have a long-term vision on the succession, and don't hesitate to look for external advice. There are a lot of issues in it: tax issues, legal issues, people issues. And I was saying the entrepreneur himself is the worst seller of the company, whatever the selling means, giving it to the children or selling it to an external party. He himself, with all the emotions which are in it, is in most cases the worst person to handle it alone. Last topic I just want to address very briefly. Many years ago, we established a concept, and we called it a family concept, and that is for family-owned businesses who have children where they think children could become the successors of the entrepreneur, and the concept is have the children involved in the business as early as possible. I'm talking about the age of 17, 18, 19, 20, and have a family concert. So once a month on a Sunday afternoon, there's a 3 hours topic on business, and no family issues, but business issues, where the father or the family teaches the family what is this business all about. That is, to me, one of the concepts which help to have a within the family succession on very good grounds. And hopefully, none of the family businesses you are in or you are running comes to a situation like the one this is on this chart. Unfortunately, I've seen too many companies where that was the actual case. Thank you very much for your attention.
Excellent, Rolf. Thank you so much, and thank you, Elena, for the great presentation. So now we can open to discussions through Q&As, questions and answers. If someone has some doubt or some point to contribute, we have some that we planned here that it's about the subject, but you can use the chat or open your mic, okay? Just to start the subject, asking to Elena, how often should succession plans be updated in practice? You said that must be a continuous process, but what's the plan in practical? How often we have to visit and revisit this plan, considering your experience?
Mhm. Okay, okay, the easy answer is to revisit them whenever a change is happening in the company. However, if there are no changes, I mean, within 2 years, it is good to go through and revisit the process. It might be that you don't change anything, but it's good, to have it as a practice to revisit and review the process on a continuous basis.
Okay, and always as a board responsibility.
It is about, it's not, I wouldn't say it's a board responsibility, but you need to have the board's sponsorship in this.
Perfect.
So it is mainly driven from the CEO and the management, the top management. Of course, let's say if we take it from the board, usually it's the executive, if you have an exco in the board, then this executive committee will, be the runners of the show. And the HR, of course, will be the supporters and the implementors.
Great. Thank you. Márcio Estrada said that the main point is face the reality of the company and family, face the future, and act in advance. I completely agree with that. And Cesar, you have a question?
Yes, I do. So first of all, thank you both for the great presentation. One of the things that called my attention was about the family council. I've been studying about boards recently, and I've seen a couple of companies here in Brazil that are really well structured regarding that, with several family members, with very structured councils. But that's really something very special, very not usual. What we see is, like you said, most of the companies will prepare when something happens. What's your experience in the other places that you have seen in Europe or other places? What's the average? Is this a real practice, or it's also something new for the companies out there?
But when I differentiate in a couple of different alternatives, no? Let's take the first example. There's one owner, there's no advisory board, there's just one owner running the company, and he does it already for the last 50 years. Now all of a sudden he needs to get involved in his succession thinking, whatever it is, particularly when there are family members. So that is case number one. Case number two is, I would call it a more advanced situation. You have the same owner, but for the last 10, 15 years, he has already kind of an advisory board around him, the non-executives, not coming from the company, not his best friends, but neutral people who help him just making good decisions. And the third one is, take number two to number three, and number three is that he also has a plan and executed a plan how to integrate the family into the business, particularly if he has kids and the kids are supposed to take over. So that is where the family council comes in. This, I would call it, this perfect entrepreneur is a perfect entrepreneur. He has an advisory board who helps him to make the best decisions. And number three, he's also, let's call it a good father or a good entrepreneur within the family, so that he's thinking about a succession within the family and organizes such a family concept. That the children, even at a young age, are already getting involved in business topics. What is about HR? What is about finance? What is about operations? What is about R&D? So that they get a feeling. What are the questions? What are the problems? What is the father dealing with? That would be the excellent case.
Mm-hmm. And this also works as a natural filter, because very soon you see if that kid is willing to stay in the company, or if this kid is not really interested, or it's interested in something else, right?
It is
Nice.
kind of an internal family assessment, no? Over.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cesar. Leticia, she wrote that when it's identified that the children or one of them, as in the case mentioned, are not capable of being the CEO, the main leader of the company, or something like that, what's the best advice you both think that for communication and manage the issue with the children or other members of the family? It's a very sensitive subject.
As I said before, when an entrepreneur thinks about selling the company, he is the worst seller. The same is regarding the fathership. No? If as a father you need to make a decision about the children, maybe it's in each case a very difficult part, because there is a high emotional part, and there is a part which is linked to facts. No? If the father says, I need to live for the next 30 years from what my kids are earning from the company, but the profitability which is then in the hands of the kids, he needs to depend on that. Then sometimes decisions are emotionally influenced, and they are facts and figures influenced. So having people around him who help him getting a more neutral view would be the best.
Great. Thank you, Rolf. Vitor asked about, I believe that it's more directed to Elena. How do we approach succession plan when there is no clear timeline for replacement or retirement, especially considering expectations, since nowadays people are less willing to wait 5 or 10 years to take on a leadership role? Elena mentioned something about it in her presentation.
Yeah, I did, but I think this is not so just the case in corporates. Usually we see it more in family businesses. I mean, having people and then very slow, let's say, change in roles, because most corporates usually in most corporates there is a retirement age, so you can have a plan. Also mobility is higher than in family businesses, so it's easier for people to transcend and change, let's say, from the one role to the higher role, or to a different position. But if you, I understand the question that if you don't have, let's say, a clear plan, which it is, yes, in most cases, you don't know when somebody will leave. That's why most organizations, they are cultivating and building these talent pools so as for them to be ready. So that's the main point. But maybe Rolf would have something to add on the family business side on this question.
Yeah, I just saw a question in the chat here, Rafael, from, as I said, Vitor, how to create an emergency plan to keep running the business for a while until there is a sale or a new management for when the family doesn't have expertise. That might particularly be important in a crisis situation, when the father died all of a sudden, or got sick, or the entrepreneur has some other issues. There's another way of managing a company for a certain period of time, and that is getting a good interim manager into the company, not as a managing director or in any other function, and staying there forever. That might be in conflict with the interests of the children and so on. Getting an interim manager on board for a certain period of time could be an excellent help. Sometimes we have brought in interim managers, not young people, but seasoned people of at the end of 50, early 60, and saying, okay, I'm going to do one more job, and that it's helping the kids to become entrepreneurs and going into the company as an interim manager for some time.
Excellent, Rolf. And connected with that, how do you believe that organization can manage the emotional and symbolic dimension of founder step back? This process is never easy.
That's not easy for all parties. No? That's not easy for the one who steps back. In a lot of cases, he doesn't step back. And it is not easy for the ones who are still influenced by the person. The best is if the one who is supposed to step back gets some reactions from people he trusts. And that is normally not the family, that's normally not the employees or the management. There are other people around him. And that could be done particularly via a good advisory board. And they help him to step back. And they also tell him from time to time, you have to step back, and don't get involved in certain decision-making process because not you anymore. That's your son, or that is the management whatsoever. Doing that yourself as an entrepreneur is sometimes hard to do.
Excellent. And connected with that, either how do you intentionally preserve this founder as essence in the business, his culture, his beliefs, and something like that? It's the same track, the same way.
Almost the same way. A little bit more in a management role to hand over knowledge early enough, and not sitting on knowledge and managing everything yourself, but trying to delegate early enough.
Excellent. Any questions? Anyone else? No. Augusto, my view, we are done. So I'd like to thank you so much for everybody's participation. This material is going to be available to you later. So whatever you need from our side, we are going to be open to that. So we're going to send the material to you and make the after event steps. And thank you so much for your time. And then special thanks for Marcela and Augusto for the support in the organization, and Elena and Rolf for the brilliant presentation.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice day. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.